Welcome back. South Africa is marking Women's Day, commemorating an anti-pass law protest march in 1956 by thousands of women to the seat of power in Pretoria, the capital. The celebrations come amidst growing calls for increased protection of women from violent abuse and murder, a worrying trend in the country. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betsy Divya, was at the celebrations in Pretoria and now reports.
On a Thursday like this, 62 years ago, this multiracial group of 4 women in a racially segregated South Africa led about 20,000 others in a protest march against an unjust system to the Union Buildings, the seat of power of then Prime Minister Hans Strydom. Today, thousands retrace their steps to the same Union Buildings in honor of those women and the millions of others in the country. While the march in 1956 was against discriminatory pass laws against black women, today many studies have shown that many women of all races are still marching against the many odds stacked against them in society despite their immense contributions. Discrimination, violence, violent exploitation, and more discrimination.
There is change, but it is very slow.
Happy Women's Day, Gauteng! We want to live in a country that respects women. We want to live in a country where the position of women in society is equal with the position of men. Women played a powerful role in our country.
To our sisters who have left this world, to our mothers who have fought for this country, for our breath, for our blood, for our bones, for us. May we live, may we live, may we live.
Hopefully, the happy chant and other efforts will lead to happier women in every aspect of life. Of the 4 women, Brahima Musa, Lillian Ngoyi, Helen Joseph, only Madam Sophie de Bruyn, now 80, is alive today and spent the morning having tea in Cape Town with President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Let's get more on this story from our South African Bureau Chief, Betsy Divya. Thank you for joining us on the program. Betty, this is indeed a sad story. What more can you tell us about the death of Kensani?
Well, Kensani she became quite prominent a few years back, a year or 2 ago, during the Fees Must Fall protest that rocked the whole country. She was 23 and a third-year law student of Rhodes University and was part of called the Young Fighter of the Economic Freedom Fighters, the student wing of the political party. So on Friday, she committed suicide, according to the reports from the police, after reporting that she had been raped by a fellow student in May. But according to the police, no case was opened at the police station, and she only reported the incident to the school authorities on the 30th of July. And before her death, on that day, she had posted some messages on social media that got people worried. But but as is usual, most of the time, people don't take these things too seriously till what happens happens. So she was laid to rest today, and it was quite emotional. And she is one among so many reported and unreported that happen in the country almost every day.
Now, we understand that Rhodes University has suspended the alleged rapist, but what other punishments is he likely to face?
Well, from the statement by the Vice-Chancellor of the university, they will be pushing for an inquest. We're working with the National Prosecuting Authority and the police to investigate further and ensure that whoever, if indeed she was raped by the person who has been served the notice of suspension, it was a notice of suspension served on Monday to the alleged culprit, to find out what exactly happened and whoever is responsible for that to be brought to book. And rape in South Africa carries about an average of about 15 years. So if it will go to trial, if indeed it's taken further, we expect a case, and it shouldn't be less. It depends on the judge. It shouldn't be less than 15 years.
So the death of Maseko has brought the simmering issue of violence against women back to the fore. What is the South African government doing to protect vulnerable women in the country?
There's so many institutions protecting women. There's so many avenues to report. But as it is the culture, not just in South Africa, in many countries, many of these things go unreported. In the case of South Africa, it's quite hectic, where children are not spared. Young women, middle-aged women, even women in their 90s in the rural areas are not spared. And people complain about the issue, the justice system, where some of the perpetrators get parole, or those who are still, have cases opened against them, getting bail. And most of them are repeat offenders. So there are things on ground, but there are still loopholes where some of the perpetrators not get away with it, but have free reign to keep doing what they're doing. But it's a huge problem, and as the president was speaking today in Cape Town, in Paarl, near Cape Town, saying that more will be done, more funding, and the issue of there's supposed to be a gender summit, especially looking at the issue of gender-based violence on the 31st of this month to examine what can be done.
Thank you, Betty, so much for keeping us updated on that. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much. Senior students at an Egyptian university have designed an air-powered vehicle with the aim of battling rising fuel prices and carbon emissions. The Helwan University students researched the possibility of a theory which sees regular compressed air as means to operate vehicle motors. And only 1 year on, they were able to transform the idea into a functioning vehicle. Take a look.
Promoting clean energy and battling rising fuel prices, 9 students at an Egyptian university have managed to design an air-powered vehicle, which they say costs nearly nothing to move. They are part of the mechanical engineering power section of Department of the university and faced several technical challenges throughout the year, including limited funding and an absence of vital equipment. This, however, did not stop them from finding alternatives, which helped them reach the overall goal of creating a vehicle operating at low cost through the use of clean energy.
What's more important than the primary price is the operational cost. It's the operational cost of the vehicle. It will be almost nothing. You are basically using compressed air. You are not to pay for fuel. And also you do not even need a cooling system. It's already cool because you have the air getting into the engine, and it's cold air.
The students initially began with trying to build a whole motor which would work on compressed air and carbon fiber tanks. The air will then be released using commands from an operational circuit and eventually generate a moving vehicle. Their idea changed after realizing an absence of carbon fire tanks and valves essential to let the compressed air inside, which inspired them to modify petrol engines.
Well, that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Teniola Shobowale.